We've been operating under a comfortable assumption that artificial intelligence is a borderless, global resource, a technology that empowers a developer in Mumbai just as much as a startup in Silicon Valley. A recent Reuters report suggests that era is ending. China is planning to geofence its most advanced AI models, such as DeepSeek Coder V1 and GLM, creating a hard digital border. Beijing is invoking national security to ensure these apex systems remain strictly internal. The goal is to verify that only Chinese universities, domestic startups, and their own citizens can harness the most advanced versions of their code. The United States is pursuing a similar strategy. Washington has already restricted export access to the high-end semiconductors required to train these massive models, ensuring physical control over the underlying hardware. Beyond the chips, the U.S. is also ring-fencing its domestic AI data centers. This infrastructure is being reserved for American-approved entities, preventing foreign competitors from using U.S.-based compute power to train their own systems. Washington and Beijing are building parallel fortresses to lock the rest of the world out of the foundational technology of the next century. Look at this chart comparing projected global AI investment. Cutting-edge AI requires a concentration of capital that very few can afford. With investment scaling into the trillions of dollars, the US and China are moving into a mathematical league of their own. Because they are the only ones footing that massive bill, these two nations will keep the bleeding-edge models strictly internal, funneled directly to military systems, to academic labs, and domestic startups. To handle the massive international demand for this technology, the superpowers are turning to what we can call the scrapyard strategy. The superpowers keep the state-of-the-art systems for themselves and release their older, obsolete models to foreign markets as mere demos. This prevents other nations from technologically leapfrogging them. Foreign innovation becomes capped at whatever level of intelligence the two producers decide to export. This moat sorts the globe into a rigid, three-tiered hierarchy, defined entirely by proximity to raw AI power. At the top are the producers. The US and China are the only ones who possess the capital, infrastructure, and foundational models to control the market. Below them are the adopters. These nations have the engineering talent to build software, but they lack the foundational models required to run those apps independently. Their entire tech economy exists at the mercy of the producers. If API access is cut, their domestic applications stop functioning immediately. Finally, the bottom tier contains the consumers. This is the majority of the globe. Nations that lack both the hardware infrastructure to produce and the tech talent to build their own systems. They pay for end products, generating profit for the tiers above without building any technological equity of their own. In this paradigm, a nation's digital independence is only as secure as its relationship with a producer. For most of the world, the cost of a modern economy is a new form of technological dependence. This creates a massive practical barrier. How does a scientist in Europe or a startup in South America stay competitive if they are locked out of the most advanced tools? In academia, laboratories and universities outside the producer nations will find themselves at a disadvantage, unable to run the advanced simulations or research that defines modern science. In business, foreign startups will struggle to compete with American or Chinese rivals who possess a multi-generation technological head start. If you are watching this from the United States, you are currently inside that producer fortress. It is a position of immense economic privilege, as the rest of the world tries to find a way in. This forces a new kind of diplomacy. Foreign governments will have to negotiate with Washington and Beijing for access to the digital tools they need to keep their societies functioning. The AI revolution was marketed as a global equalizer. Instead, it is cementing a system where a nation's future is dictated by whether it produces intelligence or merely begs for it.